FanDuel Punch Out. I'm Jason Gilbo, JGilbo11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J. Clay. Taking a look at tonight's FanDuel 10-game slate here. I like here on FanDuel just because, one, you can kind of lock in Mets and Lester as kind of the top options and feel pretty good about kind of where you're headed. I mean, there's a lot of different ranges of salary that you can kind of pick your players from.
Yep. Again, much like DraftKings, if you want to check that out, which you definitely want to check that out. I mean, why wouldn't you want to check that out? It's pretty good, and we did some awesome stuff on there. So definitely want to check that out and give it a like and subscribe and give us a follow on Twitter and such. Anyway, yes, fun slate. Like nice and cozy. I feel comfortable with some of the guys I'm throwing in there instead of some nights like a 5-game slate when you got all bad pitchers. But
we haven't had one of those in a while.
At least 2 days. No, but yeah, there's tons of ranges of players and they're in good spots. So yeah, I definitely like this.
Yeah, me too. And looking at catcher here, and unlike DK, I mean, you have Evan Gattis and Victor Martinez catcher eligible here. Gattis, I mean, the weather's heating up. We got guys kind of streaking home run wise, and it's like, okay, when does this come off? I thought it was going to come off yesterday for Gattis, and he clubbed another homer. 3,700. I mean, against Colby Lewis in Texas, he's still a viable GPP option, and we know the upside with Gattis. And I still think even at the price tag, it's just a contrarian move.
Now, you can only stack 4 on FanDuel, so I think that might make things a little trickier in terms of who you're looking at, but I think Gattis is a great option in that lineup, and I really do like the Astros tonight. Victor Martinez here does make a difference because you can play him and Cabrera together, which I really like. I'm not afraid of Mr. Happ there, so I'm okay with that. And then we see a pleasant surprise in Salvador Perez, 2,700 instead of 4,800 on DraftKings. So that is a pleasant surprise and definitely someone I'm going to be using quite a bit of.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you. I mean, that's spot on. I just think price considered here, Perez comes in healthy, I mean, which is nice to see. Big fan of his. And you look at Mike Wright, I mean, 343 WOBA allowed to righties, 1.70 home run per 9. I like this Royals team quite a bit. And with all those guys being said, I think Wieters is kind of the odd man out of that group. For me, I like Martinez a little bit more. I like Perez, and I don't mind McCann at 2,700 as well in tournaments against, a home run prone Schumacher there.
He is very home run prone. We like that. So, yeah, definitely going to go there. And I mean, I don't see a reason to pay down here. Do you?
I might take a shot with the Jason Castro at 2,300 and just hope for that home run, cheap home run off Colby Lewis. Yeah, but I definitely agree because, like, if you look at DK, I mean, Yan Gomes was 2,500, so you didn't mind, punting with him. Here, I mean, you're punting with guys like Nick Hundley or Hank Conger or Brett Nicholas or guys who you don't even know if are going to be in the lineup. But Castro's a guy at 2,300. I don't mind in GPPs, but I agree with you. I mean, you don't really need to really lock down there.
I just like that 2,700 range. I think that fits nicely in for salary and it doesn't cost too much. So, yeah, that's what I'll be going with.
Looking at first base here, and it's kind of a similar bunch of names. I mean, we thought, Mike Napoli's up there, man. I mean, 3,700. I mean, 6 homers in the last 10 games, and that's going to do that to you. So, do you see it happening again? I mean, he's hit lefties well, and he gets a pretty weak one there in Paxton.
No, I don't. I just
he's
don't.
Coming for you tonight, sir.
I once this many in a row happens, I just start to bet against the guy because it's just not really like there's no way you can sustain this, So, I mean, it could continue, but I'm definitely betting against it as of tonight. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. Chris Davis, not in as great of a price range here. Obviously, I like Encarnacion over him. And Hosmer more on FanDuel than he is DK, which is strange. But I'm definitely okay with that. And then Cabrera I like as well quite a bit.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Napoli's out of play just because, just because Encarnacion and Cabrera Hosmer at the similar price tag. In better
Mhm.
ballparks, Seattle's not that great out there as a night game, but still playable in GPPs for me. I think you can spin up to Rizzo, but I do like kind of sticking in that mid range there.
Mhm.
And if you look lower, I mean, I don't mind Adrian Gonzalez at 2,900. I mean, starting to come around. Had a nice day at the plate yesterday. RBI double and a walk. 2,900. I think he's a solid cash game guy. The GPP upside for him is still pretty limited. I think you'd be better off taking some other shots. So I think really he's just kind of a cash game guy for me at that price tag.
Yeah, I think that's a fair call. Will Myers 3,300. Sure. I'm
Yeah, I
okay
mean
with that.
he's been crushing the ball lately, and
Hmm.
this series I'm so curious about a Padres to Braves series. That's what DFS does. You know, for any people
Yeah.
that are out there in the law world who are trying to go up against it, I'm tuning into a Braves and Padres series this next few days just because solely of DFS.
It's just two people that don't know how to fight squaring off, and it's going to be entertaining because they just don't know what they're doing. So, yeah, no, that'll be fun.
It's going to be the equivalent to watching a spelling bee of the two people at the last who just continuously spell words against each other and nothing really happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Like they're good enough to be there, but not really. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's essentially go to your local AAA team. Okay, maybe it's a bit of a stretch, but you're kind of seeing some weaker baseball there.
Hmm. For
All right,
sure.
enough picking on the Braves and Padres. We do that enough.
Yeah,
Look at
every
second
day, pretty
base.
much. Yeah, every day. Yeah.
Second base here, and I really like Ben Zobrist at 3,400. I like the discount from
Yeah.
Cornell and Altuve. I know you're a big Altuve guy for tonight, and kind of where does he square off at the price? Like still in play, I'm assuming, right?
Oh, definitely in play, but you have to like that price for Zobrist. Like you can't deny that $700 difference. That's a pretty big deal, especially if you do pay up for a Mats or Lester. I mean they're not too expensive, but still in the same respect, definitely want to open up as much salary as you can. So especially at second, that's a nice price.
Yeah,
So it kind of shifts for me here for sure.
yeah, definitely. I mean, I like Ian Kinsler. More so in kind of a stack. But I mean, he's hit pretty well as far as going as just a one-off. But I kind of like Zobrist a little bit more. I mean, a little bit better matchup there for him.
Yeah, Profar and Odor sitting there 2,900, both solid options as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm a bit surprised to see Odor come down. I mean, quite a bit. I know he's been out, but still 2,900. Yeah, those are both certainly in play. Um, and with that being said, I don't think you can kind of really need to steep lower. I know you were talking about Starlin Castro being kind of a cheap
Mhm.
GPP option at 2,500.
Yeah, no, and I do still like him. I think he's viable if you need that extra 400, but I think Odor and Profar really solid for 29. So they kind of that gap of 400 kind of evaporates for that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you got Lester, you plug him in, you got 3K left over. You can kind of sit in that range and feel pretty comfortable about it.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I'm definitely with you. I mean, your thoughts on Cano at the price just mixed up there?
I like it. Yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, it's expensive, but it's not totally killing you. That's how I feel about Altuve too. I like Altuve over Cano. I think that's priced correctly. So high upside for both of them. Probably not going to fit into cash for me though. I think Zobrist is too good to pass up.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Looking at third base here, and this is a jam third base because you look at, I mean, arguably the top five, even if you wanted to play Beltry, you could. Top six third basemen are all certainly in play, but we were kind of both in agreement before the show that Evan Longoria is kind of our number one there against the
Hmm.
lefty in Chase Field.
Yeah, but again, and they're all cheaper than those second basemen, the Cano Altuve. So that's kind of intriguing. Chris Bryant obviously in play, Seager in play. I like Donaldson a little more than those two. I like Longoria the most. And Arenado, I mean, just sitting there, you know, it'll be interesting how the ownership plays out, but this could be an opportunity. I wonder who the odd man out is, because I don't think they're going to be all even. People are going to like who are people going to be touting today? Is it going to be Longoria? Because if so, and he's 25 to 30%, I'm totally down for taking some shots on some of the more contrarian guys in that group.
Yeah, and I think Donaldson and Seager are going to be that crowd.
Mm-hmm.
I think Seager's going to be the lowest owned just because Bauer's a much more notable name than an Adam Morgan, than a Robbie Ray, than
Right,
a Bull
right.
Singer. It's also not as great as a ballpark. But I mean, arguably, I mean, Seager's been red hot, hitting the ball well of lately, and I just think he's probably your low owned guy. But I mean, he does come in fourth and fifth on that list for me.
Yes, he does. But again, on nights like this, it's like, where's that ownership going to be? So that's definitely something to think about. Solarte 4100, he's been mashing too with Will Myers, so he's in play for like a little Padres. If you get a little Padres mini thing going on, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I don't mind him. I mean, look at Williams Perez. I mean, not a strong arm by any means. I think you can take some shots there just because of the pitching.
Right.
Nick Castellanos, 2,800, a guy who I'm looking at against Jay Happ there. Favorable spot for him. I mean, he's kind of slowed down of late, and the price has come down a bit. So I think you can look at some of those Tigers right-handed bats. I mean, Happ's pitched relatively well this year. But also, I mean, I'm looking at a lot of those Tigers bats that have a strong track record against lefties, and Castellanos is one of them.
Yeah, no, I definitely like that. For 2,800, you're saving a legitimate amount over the guys you're realistically looking at playing. So that could fit in really nice.
Yeah, and Jose Ramirez is a guy you were looking at. Not quite the same points per dollar value, but 3K is not a bad spot. And once again, it kind of sits in that perfect kind of mid-range.
Yeah, no, I like Castellanos over him, but in the same respect. Sorry, I just got zoned out for a second. In the same respect, 3K, not a bad price for Ramirez.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Moving on to shortstop here, and this one, I mean, you can go up there. Corey Seager's been red hot facing Tyler Chatwood, who's pitched well this year and pitched well against lefties. I think Correa still at the price tag kind of beats out Machado, Seager. I don't mind Lindor, but I think Correa in that price tier is kind of my favorite option. He's heating up against Colby Lewis, so I like that a lot.
Yep, that's where I'm going. Again, I think Houston's a great option. They are a little more expensive, but I think you can fit them in with the way pitching is tonight. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. In terms of cheap guys, Alcides Escobar 2,700. I mean, that's like nothing. So you don't need much for him to hit value at that point. And then Gregorio Petit 2,400. So.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I like Escobar. I like those Royals bats. And I like Javier Baez at 2,600. I mean, some decent upside there. Against Morgan, who's allowed a 361 woba to righties, 1.74 homes per nine. Baez has cut the strikeout rate down a bit. I like that. I like the signs he showed. He's hammered lefties in a small sample size this year. So I'll continue to kind of roll him out. I mean, not really a cash game guy for me, but I'd rather take Escobar, who's been a little bit more consistent, kind of a better on-base guy. But Baez has that big-time upside.
For sure.
So, yeah, those two guys kind of put – I mean, outside of Pettit, who has been kind of your value darling for a long time here, you know, I think those are kind of the honorable mentions.
For sure.
So, outfield here, a little bit different because some of the guys that have been playing well all season don't quite, pack the same points per dollar value. We saw Bautista 3,900 on DK here. He's the second highest priced. Those Pittsburgh bats, it makes it easier to fade here just because of the matchup. I mean, I plan on having a lot of Mats tonight. And also, I mean, their prices, it's just tough for them to pay off. And they really haven't been great, those three bats against lefties for most of the season.
Yeah, Trumbo kind of puts the he kind of tightens the screws on everyone above him right now. So he kind of takes McCutcheon out, all those 4K guys. It's going to be tough to play them over Trumbo, and then Batista. I'm not paying 400 more, for sort of not less upside, but almost less upside. Trout obviously always in play if you can fit him in, but I think you just kind of pay down here almost, George
Yeah,
Springer 3,800. So I think there's quite a few options down lower.
I'm definitely on those names. I think that 4K range of Martinez, Trumbo, Fowler is kind of that's where I set my tier one at as far as
Hmm.
price goes. And then, as you mentioned, Springer, all in a good spot. Charlie Blackmon, Carlos Gonzalez intrigued me against Bolsinger, just because one Bolsinger is not good against lefties. 354 well allowed. I know it's Dodger Stadium, but I still think they're kind of playable, even outside. I'm not completely a fade. I know people only target those bats at the prices away from or in cores, but I don't mind them as contrarian pivots.
Yeah, I like that call. I think they still have power, they still have upside, even though the splits aren't that great. I mean, they're still strong hitters, So I don't think they're totally compromised out of course. So
Yeah,
yeah, definitely
definitely.
looking at those.
I like Adam Jones, Michael Saunders quite a bit. Michael Saunders is kind of slowing down, but still, I like the Jays bats. I like that game in general. Um, and I think, in that same price, like Lorenzo Kane at 3,300 is kind of one of my favorite value-ish plays on the slate. Just against Mike Wright in that ballpark, much better price tag here than DK. And he kind of is one of my favorite outfielders here.
Definitely.
So, yeah, I like him quite a bit. Steve Pierce, moved to the outfield. He's been all over the place as far as eligibility. He's certainly in play against Ray, who's allowed a 356 well with righties. So, I mean, you can build an outfield of just kind of 35K and under guys if you want to.
That's what I'm looking at, and then I think you got Mazar there at 3K. So you're kind of looking at some upside for some cheaper prices there. So yeah, I'm definitely there.
Yeah, Whit Merrifield, Rajai Davis, a couple other guys named. So
Mhm.
Cameron Maben at 3K. It's much like DK. I mean, especially here in the outfield on FanDuel, where you have a wide range of options as far as prices go. So if you do pay up in the infield and you kind of are sitting at 28 to 3,200 range in the outfield, it's not that bad. I feel comfortable as using them as cash and GPP format plays.
Yeah, and one more Rocky, Gerardo Parra 2,800. So I mean, there's definitely some guys in that range you can throw out there.
Yeah, definitely. And I might toss up a Justin Upton at 2,700 against Hap. Um, the price is right. I don't feel bad about it. Obviously, a GPP play just because his floor is so low this season. But I mean, he's hammered lefties in the past, and I think he's certainly playable.
Yeah, and in that same vein, Melvin Upton, just because he has the same last name. But yeah, I am intrigued by these Padres bats slightly, which makes me nauseous a little bit. But I'm kind of looking at them like, yeah, all right. At least on FanDuel, not so much on DK, just because the prices are a little more expensive, but they're still pretty reduced here.
I wonder if that's any indicator of, you know, they're expecting some bigger things out of the Padres bats, so they're priced up. I mean, because that's what it is. It's that dynamic pricing here on FanDuel.
Right.
It's heavily based on ownership and points per game. So I can see you using the Padres as far as the GPP moves tonight.
Hmm.
So that's going to wrap things up here with the FanDuel Punch Out. Be sure to check out DaveFantasyCafe.com for all great tools and content.